And so the theme that we've been talking about of AI agents as MCP servers, I shared some of these slides last time as well, but let me give a little bit more context. So if you think about agents today, a lot of the agentic behavior happens on the client side. So the client may be a Cursor or a Claude Code, or now there's OpenAI Codex, and those are the applications that do the agentic behavior, and then they connect to MCP servers to call tools, to get data, even to like get prompts and resources, etc. But like you could actually expose agents as MCP servers instead. That way, any MCP client could invoke these agents and coordinate across them and orchestrate them just the same way that it does with any other MCP server. And that's kind of like the idea that we've been thinking about quite a bit. Roy showed that with Langflow as well, where you have these agents themselves exposed over the MCP protocol. And so you can even do like these multi-agent interactions over the same base protocol that like you do to fetch data. Tavili is more of like a retriever. And so it's fetching data from the web. It's doing more of a prototypical kind of like API request. And then retriever, I think that we just saw that to me also seems like an agent that's exposed as an MCP server because you make these tool calls and then the server goes out and does like sophisticated things behind the scenes, and those sophisticated things may involve LLM calls in that workflow. And so the other thing that we've been thinking a lot about is tools currently in MCP are pretty short-lived. Like they're in proc, right? You kind of call a tool and then you await for its response. And so they don't really work very well for agentic behavior because agents can take minutes to hours to maybe in the future even days to complete. And so how do you like model that as a tool? How do you pause and resume? And how do you what's the runtime of the environment of this? Because they can't just like block the server on an API call that's going to take hours to complete. And so we've been thinking about modeling these kind of like agent tools as async workflows. And so that like these agents can be paused and resumed, they can await for human feedback, they may fail and need to be retried. And we currently use Temporal in the backend to like kind of actually execute the agent runtime. But in order to expose it, one of the things we actually came up with was this decorator called app.tool with an MCP agent. And what it does is it sets up a temporal workflow for you, and it like basically will wrap this API that you have that you want to expose as an MCP tool as a temporal workflow, so that you can kind of call it like any other MCP tool, but it will be executed in an asynchronous, long-running, durable execution backend. And so this part is now like open source. It's available for folks to try. You can run it locally as well. But one of the things that we've been working for quite a while on now is actually being able to deploy these agents as MCP servers in like a single command. And so we've been calling this MCP Agent Cloud. And really the whole idea is you should be able to deploy agents that you write with MCP Agent as SSE or streamable HTTP MCP servers, and for like automatically have these app.tool decorated functions run as long-running temporal workflows. And so agent to agent communication, agent to other tool, other MCP server communication, all of that happens over MCP. And all of the execution, because it's durable, it's like fault tolerant, and it can be paused and resumed over long periods of time, happens over temporal. And so that's what we've been working on. And I want to show you a very quick demo of that. So here I have this like project that if you do MCP agent init in using the CLI, you'll be able to get this. And I'll just go over a few of these. So I talked about app.tool. So this is an MCP server that will be exposed through MCP agent. And this tool will actually run in a durable execution backend as a workflow. And so in this case, the agent is very simple. It has access to the fetch and file system servers. It's like a prototypical Hello World agent. And it's just able to like fetch URLs, read files, and answer users' requests. And so this tool will just like, generate, you pass in the input that the user specifies here, and you'll get a response. Then we can like have a regular MCP tool, which doesn't run in the durable execution backend. This is like, you're just calling a simple function that you just want a quick answer back from. So this will run in proc in the MCP server context. And we have a whole set of these things. By the way, like loggers, notifications, elicitation, sampling, all of these really advanced like MCP features. We spent a lot of time just getting all of them to just work seamlessly. So here you could do like logger.error, and this will show up back at the MCP client side as a notification, all done over MCP. So there's really like no secret sauce here. It's just putting together a bunch of these technologies and exposing things in this standardized protocol. And then to deploy this, you can actually like run this locally pretty straightforwardly and test things out. And there's tons of like examples and documentation in the MCP agent repo for that. But in order to deploy this, you just do UV run MCP agent deploy. And this one single command will basically get you, I ran this just before starting this, and it gets you like an HTTP endpoint with a deployments.mcpagent.com URL. And this is an SSE endpoint for your server. And so you can basically run this in Inspector and Claude and any MCP client. And so let's just try that real quick, actually. I think I have it actually set up here. Yep, this is running. And so here, let's just do a list tools request. And you can kind of see all these tools that we had. The Finder tool, which was that Hello World agent that has access to fetch and file system. The cool thing you'll notice is this looks just like an MCP tool, and it is just an MCP tool. But I can like maybe say, please summarize the first paragraph. And we'll use maybe the model context protocol website itself. And so here we'll run this tool. And first you'll start seeing the notifications. These are all the logger statements that are coming back from the server. And so you can immediately start seeing like all of this collaboration and coordination is happening over MCP. We made a tool call where we passed in the arguments, and then we got a response back. And it says something to the effect of the first paragraph of this is this USB-C. I think they compare MCP to the USB-C of analogy, and that looks pretty correct. And so the cool part is this didn't just run in the app server context, it actually ran in Temporal. And so you can do all sorts of really sophisticated stuff as a consequence of that. This workflow could have failed. It could have ran for hours. It could have required human input, and the workflow needed to be paused and then resumed at a later date. And all of those semantics are still possible, but they're exposed as an MCP tool. What you'll see also is like some of these tools, there are a few tools that ship by default. So you can kind of see like workflows list shows you all the workflows that you can run with this server. This comes like automatically packaged as part of an MCP server shipped with MCP agent. Workflow runs will show you like all the workflows that you've run and what the status was. And it's really useful for things where they're long-running tasks, and the tools will like return a workflow ID so you can kind of query things afterwards asynchronously. And then you can use this also because this is just a streamable HTTP or SSE endpoint. You can just use this in any MCP client like Cursor, Claude Desktop, ChatGPT, etc. And you can start using your agents pretty much anywhere. And so we're pretty excited because this is kind of a new, paradigm for how agents are exposed over the web. And I hope that this results in like many more agents that are doing very sophisticated things. And you could write all sorts of custom agents, but then deploy them as MCP servers and then use them in any MCP client. And the fundamental premise is that in the near future, the vast majority of line of business applications are going to become MCP clients. And so if you want custom agentic behavior in those applications, the best way is to just piggyback off of like the MCP protocol and expose your agents as MCP servers so that you can use them in any MCP client. And so that's the simple premise, and there's a ton of infrastructure behind the scenes that makes this possible. So please check it out. You can basically go on mcpagent.com, and there's some docs on getting started. And we're going to be doing like a pretty soft launch in the coming hours, just posting about it on Discord and Twitter. So check it out, and would love your feedback. Really, like this is a new paradigm, and so we're curious to see what folks do with it.